Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Fighting Words. Just two dads talking about the UFC, and we're back for our year-end review. I've got my
We're back.
co-host Tyrelle Payton. What's going on, my man?
Excited to be back, man. It's been a
I
little bit. I
know,
feel like we take
I
little
know.
breaks here and there, and guys, we just don't want to cover things that you probably won't necessarily want to hear from us. So we try to stick to fire topics. That's what
Yeah,
we try to
we're
do here.
we're here for the good times. We don't need to, give air to specific people that got their
Like
high
Kobe
club.
Covington,
We weren't gonna say his name, man. We weren't gonna say his name. He stays out of it. He's out of here.
trash, garbage.
Gonna let him retire. But this year, well, this is gonna be our episode about just year-end review. Take a look back at 2024. What an amazing year it was. We absolutely loved it. And I can honestly say, my Siri has decided to pop up on my laptop. Sorry. I can honestly say that this has been one of the best year of the UFC I think ever since I've been following the sport. I mean, we had the awesome UFC 300, which was just incredible, which was amazing. We've had a few like amazing fight cards throughout. I feel like this year has been the ultimate high. But before we get too far and give you guys our picks of fight of the year, we'll talk about the knockout of the year, talk about fight of the year. Please like and subscribe. We saw you guys in the comments. We know you guys are existing in our previous videos. We know you guys are out there vibing. Come in, like and subscribe. Make sure you share with your friends. We need to get out there. We want to be in
Please
front of
do.
the audiences. We want to be in people like you. We want to be a part of the conversation. So we appreciate it, guys. So we'll give you guys our breakdown first of. We'll talk about knockout of the year. So this is, I think, going to be a pretty obvious one for both of us. But I mean, some of the candidates would include, we had the Bullet knocking out Armin Petrosian with the double back fist, the double spinning back fist. We then had obviously Jamal Hill getting absolutely mollywopped by Alex Pereira. We had Yuri also completely dying in the octagon. We
Watch your
had,
mouth. Watch your mouth.
I mean, he did. That's the
No,
thing.
not that one. Not that one. Watch
No,
what you about to say next.
I'm
Watch your
not. No,
mouth.
no, 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 no. I'm not. Then we had obviously was disgraced, but it was time the king had come, and Ilya Topuria knocks out Alexander Volkanovski. I mean, as a Volk fan, it was hard to watch, but looking back on it, I mean, I called it. I knew exactly what was going to happen. But I think we can both agree that the knockout of the year is Max Holloway knocks out Justin Gaethje, UFC 300 buzzer beater knockout. The step over his unconscious body, to this day, still chills.
One of the coldest pictures ever. That freeze frame of him like flexing over as he's stepping. Come on, bro.
There's
One
nothing
of the
better.
hardest pictures ever, bro. Oh my
Will it go up
gosh.
in my basement at some point as a blown up picture? Yes, absolutely. Will you probably see it at some point in this podcast when eventually it does end up in my basement? Absolutely. It is one of the best knockouts ever. I would classify, everybody watches the Edson Barboza spinning back kick and knocks out that man, and it's just colded. Like, it's just stone cold stunner. No, this was the stakes, the moment, and the event. Like, everything you would ask for happened in that moment, and he deserves both those bonuses that he got that night and more. Like, the dude came to show up, and what he said afterwards, remember we talked about this, he said, I would give him the same respect because he would do the same thing to me. Give him an opportunity where I was beating him every single round, he said, and I still want to give you your shot.
Savage. Savage.
Nothing better. Absolutely nothing better. Now Tyrell, I do have to say my runner up though is, I'm going to be respectful, but I mean, we have to give credit where credit's due. The Ilya Topuria knocking out Max Holloway for the first time ever. I mean, as much as we hated it, we have to accept the fact that somebody else. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Don't so we're going to make an agreement to never mention that ever again on this
Yeah.
podcast.
It's done. It's done.
Let's never talk about it again. We can still talk about Volk. That's fair play. Like we could, but Max Holloway, come on, man. Like we can't talk about him in that way. It's never happened before, and to me, it never happened. So,
Yeah, you just put it out. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, we'll go mention it after this. It's done. It's over. It's over. But I mean, do you have any other knockouts you want to talk about? Because, like, I mean, I feel like those ones that I've covered are pretty awesome. But, like, yeah,
I feel like those are the best ones, man. I think we covered all of them. And just to add on to Max, it's like he really didn't have to do that. He really didn't have to even do that exchange. He was dominating him. What a And then to be the first person, like, I mean, he flatlined Justin Gaethje, bro.
Yeah,
Like
it was.
his head bounced and he slid, bro. Like that is insane. And we never seen Max do that. Anyone up a division did it. It just makes it even that more like peak that he did it up a division. And when we're
Well,
like, oh, he's too small. He whoever and does that to Justin Gaethje.
Well, and he did
Crazy.
it, and like nobody's done that to Justin and made it look that like bad. I mean, even when he was knocked out, TKO'd, whatever, by Dustin Poirier, by Eddie Alvarez, and he was still standing, but he was wobbly or he was on uneasy legs doing the chicken dance. But like, there was never a point of like where he was just face down, butt up on the canvas. I mean, and he was that. He
He
was. I mean,
was.
he left his
He
face
was.
print on that canvas that night.
It was bad. Yeah.
I love the clip with Mark Goddard where he goes, "Oh," because he's just never seen
Yeah.
anything like that. Now, I
Yep.
also feel like there's a theme though in our knockouts here. Is like Poatan is also on there. I mean, the dude delivered this year in terms of just excitement and the fact that obviously he knocked out Yuri twice. He beat Jamal. What a collection of people to defeat. And then obviously he beats Khalil Roundtree too, but that one wasn't as emphatic. But the only reason the Jamal knockout doesn't really reach the top for me is because of the controversy. I think say what you will, I think Jamal has definitely become public enemy number one in a lot of people's eyes with a certain degree of acceptance there. I mean, he can be a moron. Jamal, if he throws gloves at you, you might as well fight him. So
Then I they ain't get no chicken for that. I ain't fighting you for free either. You're right.
yeah, but I mean,
Nah.
it shows who's about that and who isn't. But anyways, don't want to get too far off the beaten path. We want to talk about fight of the year too. So, moving on to fighter of the year, I want to hear from you, kind of who was in your top rankings, who was kind of like your like memorable moments of 2024, if you had to put it up in there.
Yeah, obviously Poetan's in that list for me. I think another person that would probably throw up in that list would be, I guess you could say Tom Aspinall, right? I mean, Tom has had an exciting rise over the last year, just where he's gotten, and I feel like he's gotten a lot of back. And even though I'm not the biggest fan, you got to say that he's had an exciting year.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the person I'm picking is Ilya Taporia. Ilya Taporia is undoubtedly for me the pick because he knocked out two of our legends that dominated everyone else in the division. He knocked both of them out, and he said he was going to do that, and he did it. And this was some Conor McGregor gangster stuff, and he did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to accept, man. I think what Poatan did, he beat some great fighters. Don't get me wrong. It's not the same though, man. Like the people he knocked out don't have like the staying power of being dominant in this division. He knocked out the last two champions of his division who dominated it, and Yuri was a champion, Jamal was a champion, but like, nah, man, it's not the same. Like what he did is disgusting, and I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you top that, beating those two guys that way. Like we're gonna remember that forever.
I mean, he gives me like the Ronin vibes, like the samurai that goes in and just ends like lines of people. Like he's just there with a man on a mission. That's why I now see him as just like the murder man. Like this is what he's come to do. And like Alex, I have a very tough time now picking against Ilya. Like in his next fight, might as well just not even bet on anyone else but him. He just has too much gravity, not only to his fists, but to the person that he is. Like that's how we had the same feeling around the Conor McGregor aura. But this is different, man. I mean, the fact that
He's
we're
more
seeing
skilled.
this, yeah,
He's more
we're
skilled.
we're seeing discussions online that like Islam's probably going to lose this man if he fights him. Like that's what people are saying. That's insane to me. That we
Yeah,
have a featherweight that's like, yeah, I would like to go up and I would like to go up in the 155, and I'm not even going to fight for the belt yet. I'll fight Charles Oliveira and show you guys why I'm the man who I am. Now that's a crazy fight to jump into the division with, but it's
I don't
hard to
like it.
pick against a man that's confident. And I know you don't like it because Charles for
No, don't
all
like
of
it.
the wrong
Don't like
reasons,
it.
it would put
Don't
you
like it.
over. Yeah, that would be a
Don't like
tough
it.
way to experience 2024 heartbreak, to experience 2025 heartbreak as well.
I'm gonna say something without saying something. If he knocks out Charles too, I'm gonna be at his next fight. They better check. They better check me. See what I got on my person. You ain't gonna do that to my favorite fighters back to back. And ain't nothing happening.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing
It's
though. Like,
craziness.
I think that if Ilya is like, okay, let's say we're at the end of 2025 next year, and Ilya, obviously is still champ or has done something incredible. I think to top what he's done here, would have to be going up a weight class, winning the belt, and then cleaning out the division at the top of another weight class. Because I personally don't think there's too much for him at 145. I think what he's done emphatically against
You're right.
Max and
Yeah,
against Volk, I don't think there's any other question. I mean, Movzar, okay, there's debate as to whether he and Diego are going to fight again for a title shot. If he decides to go up to 155, Volk is pretty much kind of blowing in the wind, and we really don't want to see that fight again. Like, I hate to say that, but like, what
I
else
do.
is next for Ilya? I know, but like, I'll be honest, I think the result stays the same. Like, if he fights Volk, like, I don't.
That's why I want to see it.
That's just disrespectful, man. Like, that's just disrespectful on this podcast.
So retire that man. Get him out of here.
But the thing is that for Ilya to top what he's done this year, I think is going to have to be a large feat. But if there's anybody on the roster, UFC wise, right now that can do it, I think it's him. And I think that when we do our bold predictions in the next pod, you'll see me with some spicy takes about what he does next year. So
Okay.
just as a little enticement for the viewers. So that's fighter of the year. So final thing would be fight of the year. So who delivered? What was the fight that stood out the most to us? I mean, like I said, we had a great fights. I'm gonna actually kind of stay away. My kind of internal rule is if we picked a specific person or fight that we already mentioned, like the Max and Justin Gaethje one, I'm not gonna pick them for my fight of the year. I know, like, yeah, a lot of people would put that number one on their list, but I'm gonna actually go kind of a hot take here. I think the fight of the year was Gamrot and Hooker. I think
Mm.
that was
Ooh,
one of
okay.
the best lightweight fights I've ever seen in terms of technicality, in terms of fun. I mean, when was the last time we said we were going to have fun in a Gamrot fight? I'll tell you, never. And then he comes out and delivers one of the most exciting fights. That's my fight of the year. I know that's probably controversial. I know it's probably a deep cut. There's no KO, TKO, nothing like that. But I guess if you wanted to, like, hey, I'll give you a runner up. I do think the Dustin Poirier Islam Makhachev fight was one of the most fun fights ever. Lo and behold, it's in the lightweight division again. I probably am biased. It's tough to see Dustin Poirier lose, but man, that man dies well in the octagon. Like, you can't say that he doesn't try his best. And like, what a fun fight! The man was literally dripping blood all over the canvas. Saved that card from being, I would consider, one of the worst cards of the year. And he shows up, delivers. Islam Makhachev shows that he's human, but still can dig deep and win. I mean, and Poirier, I think, has gotten his hands all over the UFC fight of the year. I mean, his fight against Santini, that's another one. I mean, those are kind of my top, like, a couple that kind of come to mind. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What's your fight of the year for this year?
Yeah, yeah. My fight of the year is Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. That's the one for me, man. It was just a fun fight. Like I feel like it gave me similar vibes to when Islam fought Volk the first time and how excited I was. 'Cause I'm like, he may be able to beat him. He may get him, you know. And there was times in that fight where I'm like, Dustin's got this. Like the energy just made me feel like he was going to win that fight. And I think that my follow ups would be Poatan versus Roundtree. It's a
Yeah,
bloodbath. Like just
yeah, that was the
two guys duking it out. I loved it. It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots in there. Like I just love that they were just staying close and banging. It was a bloody mess. And then I also agree. I think that another fight for me would be Dustin Poirier versus BSD. I think that was a fun fight too. I mean, I'm just thinking about the fights that gave me the most excitement. I think Gamrot and Dan Hooker was an amazing fight, though. I do agree with that one. I think it was a really good one. But I think Poirier and Islam was the one for me. I love that kind of title fight. I think that Dustin pushed him and it made him look a little bit more human, like kind of like Volk did, and that's why it's my number one, man. It was a good fight. I like to see it run again, truthfully.
Me too. But I think if
Run
you're
again.
Islam, you should be thanking Dustin Poirier because he, in a way, put him over. I mean, a lot of, and I think it put him over for both of us too. Where we might not love Islam as a champ, but you can't take away from the fact that this man showed, one, that he could strike. Like, there's no question about it. He could strike, and obviously he has the wrestling and grappling on lock. Like, there's no question about it. I mean, the fact that he snapped Dustin Poirier down like that and that trip takedown to a Darce choke, like, still one of the dirtiest trip ups I've ever seen to go to transition to a takedown. Like, it was insane.
Disgusting.
And I think that, like I said, it put him over because in a lot of fans' eyes, like, okay, not only do we see him bleed, but then we see him win. That's huge. Like, would love to see that fight again. And I think what's sad is we mentioned Dustin Poirier a couple times in our fights. I mean, this could be it for him. Like, we could be seeing one more. So we need to be thankful in 2025 when that comes up because I think this may be his sunset ride, and gosh, I hope it's a good one. And I hope we can at least talk about him and mention him, if not as our fight of the year, at least mention that he's a runner up or something of the sort, because that would be what a way to cap off a career. I don't know what's next for him. He hasn't really given any sort of major indicator. I mean, I would love to see him and Max throw it back, do it one more time, but I would love also to hear from our fans of the channel, the subscribers, the people who comment and maybe don't subscribe. Yeah, we're talking to you.
That's
Let
right.
us know in the comments who your awards go to. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to make sure that you join the good old Fighting Words community by subscribing and liking. And yeah, share with your friends and let us know what you guys think about 2024. We'll catch you guys next pod.